So it's been a while since I got any new animals in. The last few animals that I got, I think, were the scorpions and things I got at the Saratoga Reptile Expo back in March before quarantine all started. So I just picked up this new little baby Crested Gecko. He does not have a name yet. Pretty sure he's a male, but again, I got him off Craigslist, so I'm not 100% sure. And he's an adorable little babies. And today isn't going to be a super long video. I'm just going to show you kind of what I do to set up for a new baby Crested Gecko, because if you remember back from our top 5 best beginner pet reptiles video, the Crested Gecko is probably the best beginner pet reptile I recommend to people for a variety of reasons, and we're going to go over them while we're talking about setting them up. And there's a reason why I have this weird dog food container next to me, because that is what he's going to live in. So I'm also going to show you kind of an unconventional way to keep them, because there's a lot of ways to keep a Crested Gecko since their care is kind of so minimal compared to a lot of your other lizards that need giant space or they need UV, things like that. Now I'm able to keep a Crested Gecko in a dog food container because A, they don't get very big. An adult Crested Gecko gets usually not much longer than my hand. It's not like a lychee gecko or anything of that size. They really don't get big. A lot of people keep them in a 10-gallon tank their entire life. You can get those little, I don't know the gallon size of it, but it's like 18 inches tall and foot by foot. That's actually what Flick, my other Crested Gecko, is in, like a vertical tank with the front opening doors. A lot of people do that. A lot of people just keep them in a standalone plastic tub. I don't have a care video out for the Crested Gecko. I'll probably do one next year once this guy's a little bit bigger, but for now we're just going to kind of quickly go over the kind of easy parts of keeping them and setting them up. And another reason why it's easy to keep these guys in plastic containers, whether it's an actual plastic tub or it's a dog food container like I have, is because these guys don't need any supplemental heating. They don't need anything in the 80s, 90s, nothing like a lot of your other lizards, even your leopard geckos. These guys, if they get too hot, they can get heat exhaustion and die from that. So rather than keeping them downstairs in my reptile room, which regularly stays above 80 degrees, even in the winter, they really would not like that. So I actually keep both my Crested Geckos upstairs in my mammal room, where my hedgehogs, my chinchillas, and my bunnies live. That room, it never gets anywhere near 80. It usually stays somewhere right around 73 degrees year round. In the winter I'll have a heater, and in the summer I'll have an AC on it. And that is perfect for the mammals and these guys as well. Now you're probably asking, Adam, why do you use a dog food container instead of just a normal plastic bin? And you're right, I could just use a normal plastic tub and it probably would have saved me some dollars, because if you just go to Walmart, you can get a normal Sterilite tub that would fit these guys for a couple bucks. This dog food container, I think it was $25 at the pet store. Whoa. Alright, we're gonna put you back. No, go back. Alright, we'll put you back on your thing. You go back on your tree. No. Put you back on your tree. There you go. Happy tree. What are you doing, dude? So I chose this dog food container because it's nice and vertical, and it's got this kind of swinging top-down lid, so I can just reach down in and I don't have to ever worry about opening it up and him jumping out this way or anything like that. Because as you can tell, he's not really used to being handled. I have not handled him at all. So he's not really used to being handled, and he's still very, very jumpy and skittery, which is what a lot of young geckos are like. A lot of them are really skittish and jumpy and wiggly. So I'm not going to really handle him for today's video. So the first thing you do is you just put some paper towel down in there, and you can use that as a nice sterile substrate. That's what I recommend really for any new reptile you get in, is keep it on newspaper, paper towel. You want to do this for a few reasons. A, it kind of helps you make sure that they're pooping, and they're pooping regularly, and their poops aren't like runny or looking bad or anything like that. And also, it's just easy to clean, because if your animal comes in with parasites, then if you find out and you have to treat them for like worms or something, it's much easier to do this than if you build a giant, nice, beautiful, kind of bioactive, lush, rainforesty enclosure, and they have worms, and then you have to take that whole thing down. So I just kind of do a nice, quick, easy setup for when I first get a new animal in, and I do this for my snakes and really any new reptile I get in. I just put them on newspaper or something like that because it's just easier for me. I also avoid live plants for new animals just because, again, it's messy, and I save that more for kind of the bioactive enclosures, like if you remember from the reptile room tour we just did not that long ago. I do have live plants in with quite a few of my established animals, like my frilled dragon and my green iguana and things like that. And I do want to do that for this Crested Gecko someday, but not right now when he's this small. I take the animal out every month to weigh him to make sure he's gaining weight. Normally if one animal is this small, I usually do it every 2 weeks. And if I have like a big bioactive thing that I have to kind of dig through to try and find him. It just doesn't work that well. So while he's little like this, I want to be able to make sure I can reach him. I can make sure that he's healthy and all this other stuff. I can make sure he's gaining weight. So for right now, I call this more of a quarantine setup, and that's what we're going to do. So once you have the paper towel down, then you just need to add a couple things. So you get some decor for him. Now you can use really just about anything. This is a fish decoration, and he'll actually climb in there and sleep in this. This is a... Whoa, no, come here. There you go. No, come here. You are some kind of trouble. Here, stay there. Honestly, he's probably harder to film with than the big snakes that I've done videos with in the past. And then this is just kind of a movable, bendy branch that you can kind of just bend any which way. And these are all very easy to clean and sanitize and things like that if he poops on them. And then you just get a water bowl, change the water out. We've gone over in other care videos, like the leopard care video and stuff, if you want to watch that about water. I mean, you can use tap water if you think your water is safe. If not, they have different ways. You can naturally dechlorinate it by just getting like a cup of water and leaving it out overnight, and the chlorine will just naturally evaporate up out of the water. You can also just get that like safe stuff and add it. You can do whatever, but my tap water is safe, so I just use tap water with my reptiles. And there's other things you can use. You can use cork bark if you want, either flats or rounds of it. You can get a bunch of different things, fake plants, fake vines, and everything like that if you want. I'm on the kind of simple side. I give him somewhere where you can climb up and hide into, which he will sleep because there's a tunnel in there, and then you have stuff to climb on. He can climb the walls. You got the water bowl. They are such an easy lizard to take care of, and I'm gonna do this for probably about 2 to 3 months. Just make sure he kind of starts growing up into a bigger crested gecko, and then once he's probably full adult size, then I'll start worrying about converting him over into like a bioactive enclosure. And another little word of advice: when you're taking a brand new animal home, whether it's a baby snake, baby gecko, baby bearded dragon, baby iguana, whatever, I would let them settle in first, kind of get used to the new enclosure, get used to their new surroundings, find where the food is, where the water is, kind of just get more secure, make sure that they're getting food in them, make sure that they're growing before you really start trying to handle him. Now I'm handling him right now for the video, and he's actually being fairly good, but I'm not going to handle him like regularly and try and get him ready for shows for quite a few months. He's not going to shows for quite a while. I want to make sure that he actually gets bigger and kind of more of an adult size before I start worrying about that, because Crested Geckos can pop their tail off and they don't grow it back. Now Flick I've had for 6 years, and he's a champ. He's been held by hundreds of kids, and he's never dropped his tail at all, so obviously, because he still has it. So I just want to make sure that he doesn't drop his tail or anything like that. You also don't need to worry about UV light. I should have mentioned this sooner, but they don't need a big UV light like a lot of your other lizards, bearded dragons, monitor lizards, any of those need. You either need to get like a tube UV light, or you need to get a mercury vapor bulb, like a power sun bulb. You don't need to worry about any of that. And then again, with lighting, if you just keep them in your room, if the room gets light from the window, as long as they're not directly in the window, like in the light that comes in, because that'll heat the enclosure too much, but as long as the room that they're in gets illuminated by that outside light through the window, then they're fine. That is their day-night cycle. They don't need a special bulb on them. They don't need a nighttime heat bulb. Again, as long as your room's somewhere in the 70s, they are completely fine. And in fact, if you get those like red light bulbs, they can see that red light and it's not good for them, and it also dries out the air, because these guys do like it a little bit humid. You want to keep that humidity usually around like 60 to 80% right after a misting. You don't want it dropping into the semi-arid or anything like that. With this all set up and in your tank or plastic bin or dog fooding bin, whatever you're using, when this all set up, the last thing you really need to worry about is the food. Now I just use like a little kind of water bottle cap or something like that, and you just put because Crested Geckos primarily eat some type of dried powder that you mix with water food, so you're using either Pangea or Rapashi, something like that. You don't want to use like the kind of lower quality ones. I would use one of those two, and you just mix that in with the water, and then that's good to go. And you replace that. Usually for these guys I do it every other day, and then every night when I kind of give them a little mist down, I also make sure to mist that once or twice, just kind of rehydrate that. So with the lid, if you're using like a 10-gallon tank, then you just get a mesh reptile lid for that size, but you'll usually have to put like either plastic wrap or a towel or something over it to help keep humidity in, because that's too much humidity coming out. And if you use like a plastic container, you can just drill holes in it. Now what I did is I actually did both, essentially. So I have a big open area that I cut, and then I drilled holes, and then I took this is just like window screen. I took this window screen, I cut a section of it out, and then I used hot glue. That's what this is. I used hot glue to adhere this to the plastic surface. So not only do they have the little air holes, but there's also this kind of big open area to allow airflow, because if it gets too humid in there, especially if you're using paper towel and they're pooping and stuff like that, it can get moldy. So you do want airflow. It's not like a Brazilian rainbow boa where they need an intense amount of humidity. They don't want it 100% humidity all the time. And with that all done, then you are essentially done giving a home to your baby crested gecko. That's really all there is to it. It is super easy. It's much easier than taking in, like I have, young iguanas, young monitor lizards, any of that stuff. This is, again, one of the easiest reptiles to take care of, and they also are one of the easiest reptiles to set a home up for if you're getting a brand new baby one in. So if you found the video useful, please leave a comment down below, or if I left anything out, this was kind of just a impromptu random video. I didn't really have this one planned out. I was just like, hey, I got a baby crested gecko. Why don't I just do a little video on making a home for one? So I might have left some stuff out, so if there was anything I left out that you thought I should have covered, make sure you comment that. If you liked the video, hit the like button, and also make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos, because I upload just about every week, every Thursday. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you later. Really humid, so you do want to mist it a good bit. So what I do is water bowl. So once you have the paper towel down,